everyone. Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. Sam Smeltzer here for Work Love Wednesday. It is time for Work Love Wednesday. Hi, Facebook. Work Love Wednesday. It's Work Love Wednesday. I don't know. That plays in my head every time that we do this. So I thought that I would share it with all of you. And as you can see by the little blurb, what we're talking about today is brief encounters and the powerful lessons that these people deliver. And so when I'm talking about brief encounters, I'm talking about brief encounters with people, the people who come and go every single day of our lives just through general interactions. There are lessons that have to happen there. So yeah. Before we do that, letting people hop on, let's do a little bit of a recap over the week of things that were maybe highlights that guided certain people into my life from one way or another to have these encounters happen. Last week, I did my first completely independent yin yoga workshop to gain more hours towards my certification. So most of you know that I am pursuing my certification as a yin yoga instructor. And at Leadership Arts Associates, we ran my first 100% independent. I've been teaching before that, but only to my class that I was working with for certification. So this was the first time doing it with 3 brave people that showed up and letting me really get immersed in what teaching people would be like, this practice that means so much to me. So that was really incredible. And I have the second one that I'm doing tomorrow night, and it's full, which I'm so excited about. So I have amazing people that surround me and support me, and I'm just so pumped about that. What else? Oh, this past weekend was Vision Fest. If you don't know what Vision Fest is, we're doing this thing, and I did a rant a couple weeks ago on Work Love about creating connected canvases. So there really is a spiritual aspect to it. If you think about vision boards in a traditional sense, in its very simplistic format, people were just challenged to put what they want for the upcoming year on there so that their goals were right in their face. And it's really important to have your goals right in front of your face. And I have certain goals, like financial goals for my business, that are integrated on my desktop screen. Sometimes I change certain passwords to that. And I try to keep them front of mind so that I'm always constantly knowing those numbers that I'm pursuing. And so that's really important. But when we talk about vision boards, at least here, or my approach to it, and everyone has different approaches, and you can probably do like a mini vision board making tour and have all kinds of vision boards that mean different things. But I'm all about being connected to that higher purpose, being connected to what is your calling. I mean, those are the people that I like to hang out with. Those are the people that have a similar mindset to me. We feel like we're a part of something bigger. And the canvas is to serve as one gigantic affirmation that this year is productive in our growth, and that we are moving forward, and we are moving closer to that whatever we're supposed to bring to the world that serves us and makes us bigger and better. And so we had, I think 10 people that came through and created some awesome boards, but some beautiful moments. And Vision Fest always delivers those beautiful moments in addition to a beautiful board. And I actually did 2. I did one that was centered across the board, and then I did one that was really centered on my professional vocation about how I want to show up this year. I've kind of made mention, and you may have seen in a couple of places when people ask me what my focus is for 2019, it really is to hit the pause button and be connected and really become masterful in the things that I've learned and the things that I've taken away, and where I want to show up and really focus on providing that. For the last 4 years since I started my business, I went through 1 year being completely lost and not understanding anything that I was doing, and then moved very quickly into getting on a sprinting as fast as I could until I was so exhausted that I have to get off and then recuperate and then get right back on it and just sprint as fast as I can. That took a toll on me mentally and physically, but it was much needed, and it helped to lay the foundation for Leadership Arts. And now we have a team that is in place, that the business is running, that I can hit the pause button and really start to think about the future of this business and me and my role in the business. What does that mean? And what do I want to share with the world? What am I called to bring out? When I go out and do speaking engagements, what do I want to talk about? There's so many things that you accumulate from just knowledge, from experience, and we want to share those things. But I also think that there's something unique and special about either the way that you're going to communicate it, or the way that you do things, or just your unique perspective. And it's going to resonate with those that need it at that time. And so I want to get really crystal clear about what that means for me. And I spent a lot of, not last year, but the year prior, so 2017, feeling very torn between what I thought I should be as whatever I was pursuing in my industry, whether that was when I was going down, doing some spiritual studies, being more spiritual, and how that means I have to present myself or talk, also versus being this professional owning a business consulting company, and how that means I have to show up into the world. And now I've kind of figured out none of that matters. I need to be Sam. And that is what I'm called to do. I'm called to be myself, take everything in that I've learned, and now show up at my best. And it's interesting because in my main board, a zebra showed up. And those of you who know me will know that animals show up all the time. I'm very big on the messaging behind animals, the spirit that goes along with them. And it really kind of, I don't know. I'm really connected. I just don't know why. But a zebra was on my main board. And when you look it up about the meaning of a zebra, a lot of the historical texts or cultural texts, or from a spiritual kind of or dream aspect, it talks about individuality and talking about showing up and being yourself. And that's really what I feel like this year is really finishing that level of discovery. Always going to be a continuous learner, but being able to define who I am and how I show up in this space that I've chosen to work in and serve in. So those were the two big things that happened for me over the last week since I saw you last Wednesday. But throughout that time, there was some brief encounters that happened. And when I talk about brief encounters with people, they are very brief. They are like, you have 5 minutes to talk to this person and they say something to you. Or it could be a little bit longer. You have 10 minutes to catch up with someone and you say something that causes them to say a response back. And it's typically a very innocent conversation. However, when we walk away from some of these conversations, it doesn't appear to be so innocent, because it has a tendency to trigger something. And those are some of the best opportunities in the world, because when we're triggered and we're having an emotional response or reaction to a brief encounter, it's showing us, it's almost doing a reality kind of check-in of where we are on our growth. Typically, the things that are triggering us are things that we're already actively working on, whether we have just started to scratch the surface or we're really like in deep with it. But it lets us know, it serves as a true kind of check-in to say, hey, what's happening here? How do I really feel? Where is my progression truly? And so for me, I had brief encounters that all hit one of the things that I have been working on very heavily for the last couple of years, and that is on self-worth. And I think it even came up last week when I was talking about jealousy and paying attention to the emotion that drove how I was feeling about things. This week, it really was the ability that these brief encounters, if I didn't back up and look at them properly, I could have really began to shut down and taken several steps back. And unfortunately, that happens to a lot of us. And so I want to share with you, and then also how I was able to recenter and recover. So the first off, the one hit on actual physical kind of body image, and that's something that I've struggled with. And I know that I'm not alone in that, we don't look the same as we did when we were in our youth and life, and kids and all that kind of takes its toll, stress and the convenience of processed food. But that has been something that I really have been struggling with. And as you go through your wellness kind of goals and you go through body image, and it really is a very intimate and personal journey. And for those of you that read From Heart to Heart, you'll see when it actually started for me and why I started to eat unhealthy things and put them into my body. It was actually a response to being afraid of what would happen if I looked a certain way. And so as a result, kind of self-sabotaged myself. And so now coming to realize that my body truly is a vessel, and wanting to be of service and wanting it to not be toxic or to hold me back from doing the work that I want to do and show up at my best. I've really done a lot of work. I have a lot of great support systems and friends who have really been helping me move towards my goals and what that looks like while still being me, not trying to shove me into a box, because I'm not a fan of that. Never have been. And as you do that, you still get people that have their own opinions. Everyone has their own opinions about health and wellness. We're all on our own journey. We all know what works for us, and what we think would work for others, but really we just know what works for us. And so in a matter of minutes, without someone even knowing, because it's not like I sat down and poured out my soul about my whole wellness journey and my struggles and my vulnerabilities and my fears and how it was impacting my self-worth, one comment about something that they didn't agree with something that I was doing caused me to deflate and think that I'm never going to get to where I want to be. I should not be pursuing those goals. I don't know what I'm doing. So severely just discounted my credibility of all the work that I have been doing on myself for my wellness, for my health, and made me think, well, maybe I need to go in a completely different direction. And so one of the most amazing things happened in that moment is that I was surrounded by other people who love and support me and have chosen to show up and be there, but they actually could see my body language. They could see me physically deflate like a balloon, and they stepped in. They stepped up and they said, they started to tell me the little things that made me realize that when I had shared with them why I've done things and why I'm processing things, why it doesn't matter what that person says, that they see me and they know what is happening and that it's good for me, and they're there to support me through it all. And those who really love and care about me, who are in that intimate circle that I've let in there, have my back. And without that, if we don't have those support systems, we can get lost so easily. If those people were not there to show up, or I didn't have an outlet to talk to or to process that through, I would have left, went home, and maybe just self-sabotage and threw everything out the window that I had been doing or believing or thinking, and said, I'm going to start over next year, or I'm going to just have to revisit something, or maybe just give up completely. But it made me really appreciative that those people were there, but also realize that, if I look at this, months ago, if I look at this even years ago, about a situation where somebody would say that comment to me, and knowing that I would be deflated and give up, but knowing that in that moment, I didn't even have the opportunity to go there, because I had people that were around me who stepped up and shifted me into my reminder. So it was kind of a cheat, because I didn't know. I can't figure out, quite frankly, where I was on my, my check-in on where I am on my mindset around my body image and this whole kind of piece, because I had other people who stepped in and said, we're not going to let Sam go down that hole, because this is something that she's actively pursuing and a really awesome goal that she has. And I know what she's doing and the work that she's doing, and I'm going to love and support her so that I restore her to a place of love rather than fear. So that was encounter number one. The second encounter that was really powerful for me was really just a catch-up session with a colleague, and we both have very similar professional goals, and we're both always looking for advice and support from people around us, and those who can serve as mentors and help us get to where we want to be. And so we had a very interesting conversation about conflicting views about certain things, or conflicting views that our mentors that we had found believed and thought about. And we didn't have like a mini debate, because I don't really get into debates. I kind of take everything in. As you can tell, I'm a big believer that, you know, people say things and it has like a hidden meaning. Sometimes that's to a fault. I see that Mary Rose hopped on at some point, but she is one of my main balancing people, that when I am trying to think that everything is a sign or a message, that sometimes there's just things and it's not related to stuff, and I need that reminder, because there is stuff that just happens. It's not all about me, and when we're in a place of that's totally acting out of a place of ego, and so I need to be shifted back. So but in this scenario, you know, I take it in, and I think that's where I wanted to go naturally. And then after the conversation ended and we walked away, and there was a couple of things that my friend really kind of gently kind of nudged and said, these are the things that I really think that you should do. And some of it was stuff that I really needed to hear, and I needed to have a reminder, because it's things particularly around money. My relationship with money is still not very healthy, but talking about, you know, pricing and services and things, and I needed to hear those conversations. I needed to hear that, you know, I do severely have the habit of undervaluing what I have to offer the world. In fact, I had that. We talked about this last week, and I had this note that showed up and really reinstilled that in me and reaffirmed for me that I'm still struggling with that. And so there was some tough part of that conversation that I needed to hear. The part that I needed to process on my own is that, like I mentioned, I'm on this path of figuring out what I have to offer to the world, how I want to show up in this space that I've chosen to serve in. And does it have to be like everybody else? No, it doesn't. Does it have to be completely unique, and that means that everything that everyone else is doing is completely wrong and that I can't learn from them? No. But I have to go down this path of really identifying the things that I need to do for me. I need to figure out what is right for me. The best example that I can think of this as a small business owner and entrepreneur is the world of marketing. There are a bazillion marketing experts that you can follow. They all have some commonalities, and there are some things that they completely disagree on. As a small business owner, I know I started with the philosophy of you find a marketing expert and they will guide you to business success. That's not true. You've got to find the marketing expert, strategist, the group of people who can support what you're building and what you're creating. And that's no difference than when we're talking about personal development. Like when we talk about this idea of a tribe and having a supporting group of people around you, you have to handpick those people that are going to feed you and make you or help you get to where you want to be and who you want to be. We get to choose that. And it's not something that is given to us. It's not something that just falls into our lap. We have to consciously know who we are, somewhat of what the path is that we're trying to do, or at least what our value system is and what we'll tolerate and not tolerate, and have that all kind of manifest together. So I know I went on like 2 very passionate rants, but that just shows you the powerful lessons and reflection cycles that happen from a brief encounter. And literally it was a 10-minute conversation, and I don't even know, a 2-minute conversation was the first one. And they sit with me and they stew with me. I can tell you the 2-minute conversation I was thinking about at least 48 hours before. I was still processing, even though I had people there immediately to shake me out of it, but I still had to think about it and decide. And, you know, don't underestimate what's happening. When you go throughout your day and you interact with people and it stays with you and it sits with you, use it as a mirror. It's a reflection of something that we need to be aware of. It's something that we need to pay attention to. Whether that is, Mary Rose snapping me out of it because I'm going to a place of ego and thinking that everything is about me in this big grand universal lesson. That's a place of ego instead of restoring it to a place of love. And she does it very nicely by saying, Sam, I love you, but this is not about you. So easily shifting me back to love. Or if it's other stuff, if it's, I love my body, but I really don't. And I really don't, I can do anything. I don't know if I really can. Those vulnerabilities are going to get hit very easily by people and their words. And I do think there's something about divine timing on what they say and how they say it and how it lands on you. And be mindful of that. We're adults, which means we're learning all the time, every day, whether you want to accept it or not. Most of us don't recognize that, but we are continuous learners, learning every single day. And what's really powerful is when we start to wake up and realize what we're listening or what we're learning, and being able to process that and really take it and absorb it so that we can really have the momentum to move forward and get closer to whatever that calling, that purpose, and doing more with our passion. So those are my words for Work Love Wednesday this week. I hope you have a great week. Thanks to everybody for hopping on. I know Katie hopped on. Thank you. I love this necklace too. And Amanda. Hi, Amanda. And Mary Rose was on briefly too. So leave comments if there's questions that you have or other things that you want to hear talk about. Otherwise, I will see you next Wednesday as I join you for a little weekly recap and my reflection takeaway for that week. Have a great one, guys. Bye.